What's up, guys? It's your boy Icy Boy Gaming here, back with another video. And in today's video, I just now realized something. It's been a while, so I'm bringing back this old series that I had where I talked about my favorite racing game franchise, Need for Speed. But for the most part, we were going down from like the newest all the way down, and like all the way down until like a certain amount. But we did skip Heat 2019 because how do I say? I do remember the story. But it just it's kind of like blank in my opinion. Like I remember the story. Obviously, the story was good and it was a very fun game. But it's like at a state where I can't really like make a video on it because it's just it's like I don't think it would be interesting. But we're talking about probably one of the most controversial Need for Speeds besides Need for Speed Undercover, and that is Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of people don't like this game, but I feel like a lot of people don't like this game for the wrong reasons. And I know that's kind of weird because you have to have a reason, a valid reason, or at least just a reason in general on why you don't like the game. But I feel like a bunch of people are just of course, in general, for some odd reason, it became a huge trend in the automotive gaming community of just bashing on every single automotive game just because. But I feel like this game, like the bashing on this game, was just take it to another level. I understand to some it wasn't that good, so I could understand that. But here's why I'm gonna clarify for you. Now here's the crazy part. That Need for Speed is my favorite Need for Speed. It is up there. It is the GOAT. It is like the go-to. And I'm gonna explain in this video why I think not only is this Need for Speed misunderstood, but it's the best Need for Speed, or at least a top 5 Need for Speed in history. But first, I just want to get out the misinformation. One, the fact of why it's called Most Wanted. A lot of people think that it's supposed to be like a sequel. No, the sequel was Carbon. Carbon is the sequel to Most Wanted 2005. But here's the thing. The problem with how do I say it? To put it in simple terms, the problem with 2012 in the name is that it's called Most Wanted, but it's called Most Wanted for a different reason. It's because you're trying to become the Most Wanted through a series of trials between different cars. It's more focused, I feel like this game, if you think about it in a sense, is more focused on the cars than a driver. So it's not really like a story-oriented game, and this is one of the first games to do that. Of course, many games nowadays aren't really story-oriented, and they're praised for it. But back then when this game did it, stories was one of the main things. We were just now getting into multiplayer and all that other stuff. But stories was one of the main things in racing games, and to be honest, I feel like it still is, because looking at racing games now, they're kind of boring without a story. But this game was actually one of the very few games that was good without a story. It actually did it well, because it was more about the cars, which is why it was you had the special little intro scenes and stuff, designing and talking about the cool features of the cars and stuff. And actually, a lot more people have come to respect the game now than they did probably 5 years ago. Everybody's bashing on it. And another reason why everybody bashed on it was because this was at a time when the game Burnout basically died out. The company was really no more besides the remaster in 2017, obviously. But that was obviously 5 years later after that game came out. So a lot of people looked at this game with the takedown features and stuff like that. It wasn't really it wasn't really focusing on that Burnout takedown crash stuff. It just happened to have the feature, which, let's be fair, Need for Speed has had that feature for a pretty long time. Not super long, but they've had features where it's obviously a takedown mechanic. But the thing is, a lot of people believe that this game was supposed to be a copy of it. And honestly, a bunch of people complained about the game style, saying that it was very weird and stuff like that. The cars were like Hot Pursuit, but it tried to take a different approach. And actually looking at it, I'm going to just say you're kind of incorrect. Basically, it has how do I say it? It has the same styling. It's just this weird style, ignoring the run, but from Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, Need for Speed Rivals, and Need for Speed 2012 Most Wanted, where although they may seem like the cars are driving and stuff, it's like they slide across the road and stuff. Like they're very like, it's like a kind of like a driftish type game. Like where you go across that turn, you don't gotta brake. You just gotta drift. You gotta know when to drift. And of course, obviously, it's easier to drift in that game since that's one of the core mechanics of going around the corners. But to a lot of people, they figure since the map was a city, that it didn't fit the game, which is incorrect because the roads actually fitted pretty well. And of course, if you need to slow down and turn, you can still do that pretty simply, which I could argue that that's better than the Need for Speeds nowadays. Because sometimes the Need for Speed nowadays, with how their drift to tap feature is, kind of forces you to drift when you don't want to. So I'm gonna be honest, I feel like this Need for Speed actually does that pretty well. But the main first positive I want to get into is the soundtrack. Now, I know this video is going to be a little bit longer than other videos, and that's expected. I want to step up my quality this year. But, the soundtracks. I gotta say, I feel like this soundtrack should be looked at as the universal for all racing games. One of the best soundtracks. A wide variety that can satisfy everybody and doesn't make it just sound stupid. I'm looking at you, Unbound. The music was somewhat good, but y'all had a lot of music in the beginning that y'all not only kept on repeating, but wasn't too good. And the 2005 fans, they took that, played Decadence, and ran with it. So, to be honest, with 2012 Most Wanted, soundtrack was crazy. You have good rock songs, you got good rap songs, you got good upbeat songs, you got good EDM, I think it is. But you got all those across like a wide variety. And even some country songs, like I was jamming to them. Like, I don't care, I love it. Like, it was good. The soundtracks, I feel like in that era between 2010 to 2013, soundtracks helped the game so much feel more alive. Like, it actually felt like it was assisting the speed in the game. Not to mention, the game's speed felt pretty real. But the soundtracks felt very live. And I feel like that's kind of what mini games are missing nowadays. Mini games nowadays are just trying to add in the newest songs and the cheapest deals. And it's just not feeling live. Like, I feel like, honestly, if Forza were to take that approach from the 2010 to 2013 Need for Speeds, it would help boost them up so much. Because back then, at this time, which, to be funny, it's like when, Forza Horizon first came out, like 2012. But the music felt live. It felt really good. And it's funny because one of the songs I believe in this game is also in Forza Horizon, which they both released the same year. And I felt like that's another thing. This game was kind of somewhat overshadowed due to the fact that Forza Horizon did come out that year. And I wouldn't say it dog walked it, but it definitely was more appealing to other people and stuff like that. Like, me personally with this game, I had this game copy since like the time I had a collective conscience, so this game is really stuck with me. And I didn't complete the game until was it this year or last year? It was around that time. But I've had the game that long and I never actually completed it. I've gotten to about like the 5th boss as a kid and then just stopped and started just joyriding around the map. And an older me said, you know what, I should beat this game. And so that's what I did. And I just find like the game is so interesting. Like the style of the cop intros, like the difference, like and like the intros with each boss car. It's like giving the car an identity. Like basically, it's removing the driver and focusing on the car. And I feel like that's a cool aspect. Especially that can also be seen in 2010. But a lot of people say since the cars are lightweight, it kind of ruins the game. And I feel like it gives it some character. Like, the game is obviously an arcade game, so there's really no difficulty as long as you know what you're doing and just having fun. But there is a difficulty to come in when your car is like a lightweight. Like, it could be one-tapped and destroyed easily. Like, of course, not actually like destroyed easily, because you can like modify your car in terms of stats. It wasn't really focused on customization, to be fair. During this entire era, they weren't really focused on customization. And I feel like, honestly, it was actually kind of a smarter move of them to not be focused on customization, because I feel like these games kind of didn't work with that. too well. Like the other games, they did, but I feel like when Need for Speed was like out of the customization, not too much into it, they did pretty well. Of course, in 2015 they brought back customization, and they did pretty good. But let's be fair here. After that, the only other good Need for Speed with customization was Heat. I feel like, okay, Heat had unique customization options, which were later carried to Unbound with more unique customization options. But Unbound messed up like key components in the customization, like lowering suspension. It's like it stopped lowering and getting lower. It felt like they kept on raising it, and it kind of ruined certain builds. But not to mention, it felt like some of the customization wasn't really fully like providing what it was stating. Like sometimes the like when you lower your wheel, like when you lower your suspension, it basically bottoms out before it actually reaches the end of the line, which of course could make sense. But if you're lowering the car, it can continue to get to the ground. But of course, I know they're not gonna do that because you need the cars to still function. But at least let it get a little low, and also allow us to fix the offset. I'm not saying a full on -20 camber build, but you understand what I mean. But getting back on topic, especially since I went from soundtrack to that. The soundtrack was live, and I feel like you should take a listen to it. Like it was just dropping straight bangers. Now the car choices, I have to say, are some of the best cars because it's like a lot of like cars that you don't see in your typical Need for Speeds. And I feel like that was another good thing about it. They didn't repeat cars like how the more modern Need for Speeds do. Like looking back at it, a lot of the modern Need for Speeds have many of the same cars. We're only getting about like maybe 10 to 20 new cars per Need for Speed now. And I feel like that's very annoying. Back at this time when these Need for Speeds will legit just switch the whole roster and maybe keep a few key cars that, people are fans of. Like, to put it simply, like, I'm tired of seeing the Koenigsegg Regera be the only Koenigsegg in Need for Speed, bruh. Like, it's kind of boring now. And I feel like that's the one thing that's kind of missing. Not to mention, I kind of do like the aspect of being able to switch into the cars and stuff. It keeps it pretty simple and stuff like that. And of course, there are small modifications, but it's not like focused too much on modifications, so that could be focused on like design it to the actual cars, design it to the races and stuff like that. Of course, this game does have its fair share of problems. And now, see, I was a little bit late to the party when obviously playing this game, so I didn't get to experience the multiplayer. But from other reviews from other YouTubers that I've seen in their content, they said that the multiplayer was actually pretty live and very fun. So there's that, and that the multiplayer was basically like very intriguing. Like everybody, had everybody fun. Like keep the people hyped. That it keeps them going. It keeps the people going. And I feel like many games can't really do that now. Especially during the racing like in the racing now. I feel like a lot of games forget to actually make fun. Like a lot of racing games, like arcade racing games, forget to actually give the people a fun aspect in terms of multiplayer and try to focus more on a style aspect in terms of multiplayer. And I feel like this, you can't, I'm not saying this like like from a sim racing thing. There's probably a video I should make like about sim racing and arcade racing. But to put it simply, this game offers an experience that many multiplayer games can't offer now. And I feel like this game is overly hated. Now, usually in my Need for Speed series, I will try to make jokes and stuff. But nah, I seriously gotta explain that this game was overhated. And I don't understand why. Like, obviously I understand why, but the reason why was stupid, to put it simply. Because, like, to put it in simple terms, this Need for Speed gave the people what they want, and the people bashed it. Not to mention, they dragged the name across the ground. Like, I'm talking like, they gathered up, they jumped the name. And not realizing, Need for Speed never advertised it to be a sequel or a part of 2005 Most Wanted. If it would have did that, it would have showed customization. It would have gave us things that we wanted, like customization like customization and stuff like that. Customization, a story, a detail, stuff like that. That type of stuff that you get from 2005 Most Wanted, Carbon, Underground 2. It would have gave us that. But no, it didn't. Because they weren't advertising it to be like that type of Most Wanted. They wanted it to be the Most Wanted car. Not really the Most Wanted driver. That's the difference. They wanted to be a car that's like, you like, how do I say? You race through the city, you tear it up, and you make your way through some of the most wanted drivers in their cars that are masterpieces. Your goal is to climb that rank to become the top masterpiece. That's the point. The point was never, oh yeah, you in the undergrounds, customize your cars. No, it was never that. And New Year's Day. Yes, I'm currently recording this on New Year's. And in the background, you may hear a firework or two. But still, that does not make any sense. Like, these people bash this game. All because of the name. And the fact that there was, like, some small stuff that they didn't like. This game was dragged down for those small little things. Which those things, many racing games are missing out on today. And that's why the people are bashing racing games today. Of course, we could just make a blend of both. But we already know there's a huge chance that that's not going to happen. Especially with how iffy people are nowadays on what they want to make. So otherwise than that, that's all I got to say. Need for Speed 2012 is the best Need for Speed. No questions. Icy Boy Gaming, out. Boom.
Alright, this nigga swear here, not this one. Hey, Brody. Brody, hold on.
Oh shit!